Hey everybody, this is Mr. Ross. I've had a couple people already ask about the number of the day that was placed in your packets. So I wanted to spend a couple minutes kind of going over what you're supposed to do on this assignment. And then if you were an online student, then you get kind of a preview of what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So first and foremost, the number of the day should have been given to you if you grabbed your packet. This is something that we will work on as a class, so you can always get more practice by doing another assignment with your own number, but stick with the number that I put onto those pages to start. I picked 525 for this example, so I'll work through what it looks like for 525. This page, you start at number forms at the top here, and you kind of work like a clock all the way around. So starting first at number forms, I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better. For word form here, you're basically writing this out based on how much is in each digit for each place value. So for 525, there are 5 hundreds, there are 2 tens, and there are 5 ones. So that would be a good way of taking care of first example. Another example is we should know that for this piece here, I did 52 tens and 5 ones. The reason why I wrote it like that is because every 100 is 10 tens. So if we have 5 hundreds and 2 tens, we can write that as 52 tens and 5 ones. Or another way, right here I said 5 hundreds and 25 ones because for every 1 10, there are 10 ones. So if you have 2 tens and 5 ones, you have 25 ones. You can think of it as like money. If you had $5.25, you could write it as $5 bills and 25 pennies, or 52 dimes and 5 pennies. We're just writing it in different ways, and maybe thinking it as money would be a good way of doing that. In expanded form, you're writing the total amount that comes from each of the digits. So we have 5 hundreds, so 500. 2 tens is 20, so 500 plus 20. 5 ones is just 5, so 500 plus 20 plus 5. So you should get something similar to these lines. Okay. Moving over to compare, it says to draw 4 additional cards to complete the comparison below, but since we aren't drawing cards, I would ask that you just put your number 4 times on the left side, and then think of numbers that make each statement true. All right, we should know that they're called inequalities, the little crocodile or alligator mouths. Whichever side it's opening to is the bigger number, right? The alligator's hungry and is trying to eat as much as it can. So if we have the number on this side, the number of the day, this little crocodile mouth shows that this number of the day is bigger for this statement. So we need to write something on the right side here that is smaller than 525, because the inequality is saying 525 is bigger than this number. So you can write down any number you want as long as it makes it true. So 510 is less than 525, so that's why I put that there. Another example could be 326. Since that is a smaller number than 525. Now, for these bottom two, the opposite is true. Since the crocodile mouth is open, this number is bigger than the number of the day. So I just chose 771 as a random number, but I know that it's greater than 525 because the crocodile mouth is open to it. Same thing here for 541. We need a bigger number than 525. Okay, so just to recap, write down your number 4 times right here and think of numbers that make this true. It might even help you to write the smaller, bigger comparison up top here as just a little reference. For a plus and minus section, it says write an addition sign or a subtraction sign problem to equal the number of the day. So first and foremost, you will put your number of the day on these 2 left blanks left of the equal sign, and your job is to write 2 numbers that add up to 525 and 2 numbers that when you subtract them, they get 525. So you're starting with your number of the day and you're thinking of 2 numbers that add to it. They are two random numbers. They could be any two numbers that you can think of, but they need to add up to it. So 510 plus 15 is 525. You could also say, 520 plus 5. Okay. Same thing over here. You'll have a number subtracting another number to equal 525. And it's your job to come up with two numbers that do that. For the round it section, looking at this first number line here on top, it says round to the nearest 10. Well, my number of the day is 525. So the 10 right below it is 520. That's why I wrote 520 here. And then the 10 above it is 530. And that's why I wrote 530 there. All right. In the middle, I would put 525 because that's right in the middle between 520 and 530. And that just so happens to be my number. So I put a dot there to show that's my number. And I know that since we're at the halfway point or above, we round from 525 to 530. So that's why I drew that arrow saying I'm rounding up. Okay. Same thing for nearest 100. 525, the nearest 100 below is 500, so that's why I put 500 on the left. The nearest 100 above is 600, so that's why I put 600 there. I put 550 in the middle to help me round, and then I put my number in its place with a circle there, a little dot to show me. Now, since this is below 550, it would round down to 500. Okay, so this is what I want to see. I want to see numbers listed, whether it's a 10 below or above, or 100 below and above, and then the middle point too. And then use your arrows to show which way it's rounding. For this last part, least to greatest, is a little confusing, so I want to clarify something real fast. It says use your answer from rounding to the nearest 100. So from rounding to the nearest 100 on this bottom number line. Whichever 100 you rounded to, so in this case I rounded down to 500, that's what you're going to put in this right here. That's why I put 500 there. All right. If I had a number of maybe 578, so that's over here, I would round up to 600, and I would use 600 in this block here. Okay, so this is dependent on which way you round to. So now that I have my 500 here, it says when rounding to the nearest 100, what is the least number that rounds to 500, the number that I had here? Well, I know that I can round up to a number, so I can be below 500 and round up. And with this little number line here, I'll zoom in so maybe you can see it a little bit better. If 500 is my target and I'm trying to round up to it and see what the least number is that rounds up to it, well, I know if I'm halfway between 400 and 500, I'm at 450, then I will round up to 500. But if I'm at 449 or below, I'll round down to 400. So the least number that will round to 500 is 450. Now using 500 again right here, when rounding to the nearest 100, what is the greatest number that rounds to 500? Well, this is going to be greater than 500 and round down to 500. I draw my number line again. I have 500 there, 600 there. I put 550 in the middle, and I know that 550 and above goes up. So 449 and below goes down. So 549 would be my answer because that's the greatest number that rounds to 500. Because if I go to 550, it rounds to 600 and it doesn't round to 500. So that is an overview of number of the day. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask. I'd love to be able to help. Other than that, I'm excited to see all of your guys' work, whether it's online or in packets. And I look forward to hearing from you guys soon. Thanks.